I will go through it. But I will go through it anyway. Housekeeping, we will have Q&A as we move along. You can please type your questions in the chat. Carol has everyone muted, and then she can take you off of mute to speak, to answer questions. I think everyone's familiar with these enough. I don't need to go too much more in housekeeping. Okay, next up is the ADMA membership renewal. My first question is, if you haven't renewed your membership, what are you waiting for? The membership's expired on 12/31, so we currently are doing our membership drive with it ending on 12/31. You don't want to miss out on these webinars and conference discounts that you get as a member. If you're not a member, then find seminars like this, and our conference costs you extra. So why would you want to pay extra when you can become a member and get all this fabulous content? There's a link on right there. Speaking of content, we have upcoming webinars. We have our Transformation Leadership Innovation Series that we've been doing since November, where we're learning various aspects of media companies and how they're transforming their business model. We've done some on distribution. We've done some on engagement. You'll see coming up, we have a transformation series hosted by McClatchy, and then we have audience engagement with Cal Times and AME Audience as well. I think that'll be 5 or 6 overall different transformation series we're doing, focused on various aspects of audience and how the business is transforming. And now let's move on to the main event, today's presentation. So with sales dollars being limited, it's more important than ever to have a solid onboarding strategy. Today, we'll be hearing about how to build an onboarding journey that will get you results, not just for subscribers, but for new users. We have 2 speakers today. First is Phil Schroeder, who most folks on this call, everyone knows. Phil is head of consumer engagement at Gannett. His team is responsible for onboarding and engagement of all print and digital subscribers across all more than 200 publications. Phil's been in audience for over 20 years. When he first started, he had hair. You can see what the industry has done. Now he does not. And he's held a variety of roles across all the media companies. So Phil will present first, and then we'll segue into David Tribdan. I'm probably saying your name wrong, David. I am sorry. David's calling all the way in from the Slovak time, daily SME, which I believe it's evening time there. So most of us, it might be 9 a.m. where David at it's in the evening. His day is coming to an end. David is a subscription growth and retention specialist. He spent the last couple of years as a digital strategist, helping big and small media companies with reader revenue, podcasts, and newsletters. And he has a background in digital marketing and communication. At this point, I will turn it over to Phil.
Thanks, Jim. Excited to be here. And you said David's day is coming to an end. I don't know. I've emailed David like really late at night and he responds. So I think he just stays up all night. But we'll get into onboarding and talk sort of like what we have been doing here at Gannett. So we can go to the next slide. So first of all, though, like what is onboarding? So really for us, the way we look at it is welcoming subscribers to their new subscription and sort of trying to educate them about everything that we have to offer, and really we want to build some momentum for those subscribers up to like where they sort of realize that value proposition. The real goal we have is also to make sure that we're, onboarding customers before they may get another price increase. Many subscribers come on with like maybe a 99-cent for the first 3 months or 6 months. So we want to make sure we're onboarding them before they hit that first step up. That's a critical part of what we're doing. And so what should it include? For us, it's all about the on-site messaging post-checkout, the existing features and benefits that we have today. And really, like I said a second ago, highlighting the value of the subscription. We want to make sure we're sharing all the different pieces that make us up a subscription, not just about necessarily the content, but all these other pieces that might come with that. And really just trying to build that relationship. The one that we don't include in onboarding is ongoing product features. So like if we're going to release something new, we don't try to squeeze that into onboarding until it's something that's rolled out, it's proven that it's going to stick around for a while. Then we'll go back and update our onboarding messaging. We also don't put anything around the news cycle. So the onboarding is something that we try not to, interject news cycle type events into. So we want to keep that very consistent. And we can jump to the next slide. So how much we onboard our subscribers? There's a variety of research here. I'm not going to read all these. You guys probably have heard all of these before, but basically, if you read all three of these, it's going to be anywhere from 66 to 100 days. And then one group even says 254 days. That's a really long time. We don't have that long to onboard our subscribers. I'm sure most of you would know that because 254 days is, I was trying to do the math in my head. I'm not the mathematician here, but that's 9 months. So that's a long time to try to onboard someone. So we here at Gannett are sitting right between that 66 and 100 days. Our onboarding journey is around 75 days. And we also have another onboarding journey that's closer to 60 days. It varies by some of our different markets between our local and national brands. I always lean back on the Wall Street Journal. They're one of the groups that, we first heard about this from. And, really, if we can't get someone to build that habit in that first 100 days, it's hard to get them to continue to build that habit. So that's sort of what I always lean on in that statement from John Buckley. We can jump to the next slide. So our group here at Gannett actually did some research around onboarding over the last couple of years, and we just revamped our entire onboarding program within the last year. So the research we did, we found some key insights that we discovered were, onboarding, first of all, begins at the end of checkout. So that's when someone becomes a subscriber, that's when onboarding starts. Users want actionable benefits that they can utilize within that journey. The morning newsletter is the #1 onboarding email. And I still hear that today from readers. They see that morning newsletter is what they really depend on. We call it the daily briefing here, and they live and die by getting that newsletter. That's where we see a lot of our engagement coming from. Also, active personalization is expected. That may not have been the case a few years ago, but that is the case now. In fact, if you read a lot of other research journals, everyone expects active personalization, as long as it's not too creepy. Don't get too creepy with it. Also, we know that highly engaged users will churn. This should say less quickly. I don't know why it says quickly, because that's wrong. But highly engaged users will churn less quickly. So that's really another thing we want to focus on. And we really have about a week to prove we're worth it. That's what our research found. So you'll see in our onboarding series that our first 3 emails go out within the first week to try to really tackle that approach. So we could jump to the next slide. We have 3 pillars of successful onboarding here at Gannett. One is in-product onboarding and engagement. That's more like on the website, things like, on the website, making sure that we're onboarding people there with a variety of different pieces. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. Cross-platform personalization. This is where we're, email, apps, all the other places that someone may engage with us, social media. We'll talk about social media in a little bit too. Those are areas that we want to focus on. And then also we want to have fresh, high quality, exclusive content. So we're constantly pushing out, some of our premium content to these users, making sure that we have subscriber only content. We track that at a local newsroom level, making sure that we have a certain percentage of that by newsroom to really try to engage these readers. So we're going to jump in now to the actual email onboarding journey that we built out based on all this research. And we could jump to the next slide because here's a chart. And guys, I'm going to give you everything for free today. You're going to hear the entire onboarding journey that we're using here at Gannett, and it's free. You don't have to pay a dime except for your dues, right, Jim? The great part here is we built this out, and we have one of these for different kinds of journeys. So this is our local onboarding journey for just regular subscribers that come from the web. We have another journey for app subscribers that get emails as well. We have another journey for national subscribers. We have journeys for our casual game subscribers. So we have a variety of different journeys. And then we're also most recently working on a journey that's more personalized, harnessing the power of our CDP to actually personalize that journey. So that's a totally different journey as well. But really, you can see here all the different pieces we do, as well as the CTAs that we're using. But here's where I mentioned that, welcome letter on day 1, apps on day 4, and newsletters on day 8. So within the first 8 days, we're highlighting some of the key features. And then e-edition comes right after that on day 13. We know that e-edition is a huge way to engage our users, and we want to continue to push that. We also have a note from our senior editor that goes out, and also these welcome notes, day 1 and day 19, those are personalized if the newsroom wanted to personalize it. We wrote some copy for all of the newsrooms, and we shared it with them, and we said, hey guys, you can either use the copy that we wrote, or you can personalize it. Many newsrooms jumped in and said, we're going to personalize this. We're going to really make it, our voice talking about our community. And those are the ones that we find the best success with. We jump into podcasts next. We do a survey on day 30. Commenting on stories is the next one. That's only in some markets. And then we jump to social media, share your subscription crossword, but let's forget about this chart. Let's jump into the meat. Carol was ahead of me. She was like already jumping ahead. So we'll jump into the meat of this. So this is our welcome note on day 1. So like I mentioned before, this is where we really try to personalize this letter from the editor. And then we also mention some key benefits as well. Our goal on this email is 2 things: opens and clicks. We want to see a high open rate on this email, which we do see a high open rate, and we want to see clicks on this email, which we do as well. And that's really what we're trying to drive, getting people to go to these newsletters, share their subscription, or open that e-edition. So these are 3 key points. We can jump to the next slide, which is our app downloads. This is really where we want to get customers to engage with our app. We know that customers that are engaged with our app are way more engaged with us than people that are on the web, and they're visiting us more often. They're reading more content. They're just constantly coming to us. So we want to make sure we mention all of the benefits that the app has as well, such as offline reading. We have a My Topics piece, which is really awesome. I love that, where you can choose like, hey, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan, let's choose that, or whatever. I just had to throw in the Chiefs reference. Sorry, guys. So we'll jump to the next slide. Next slide is promoting newsletters. So this is a really cool one, and we were able to work with our newsletter team to actually, I indicate here the red outline is an area that can be variable. We actually were able to come up with variables by newsroom for which newsletters they wanted to highlight. So if a newsroom wanted to highlight, we have a newsroom in Rochester, New York. They have a Buffalo Bills newsletter. They may want to highlight that. They can actually get things coded to highlight that at the top. Or Cincinnati may want to highlight dining, or another market may want to highlight something else. They're able to actually put these in certain order within our product mix to actually make sure they automatically flow in here. So it was a really cool feature that we were able to launch in partnership with our newsletter team. We'll go to the next one, which is our e-newspaper. You might notice on here it says e-edition sometimes. Those are old slides. Our official name is the e-newspaper. We rebranded about 6 months ago. But this is really a great piece where we're trying to push people to that e-newspaper, make sure they go out there and utilize it. And our e-newspaper has a feature where if you're a local subscriber, you actually get access to all of our local brands, not just the brand where you live. So if you live in Austin, you get access to Austin, but also all 200 of our other local brands and USA Today within their e-newspaper. And that's both on our native apps, that's on your tablet, that's on desktop, anywhere you go. So it really offers a great benefit for readers by having that universal access across the enterprise. And you may ask, like, well, how much do people use that? We see a lot of people use that very locally. So like in Detroit, we'll see people use that in Lansing or Battle Creek and some of those areas. So it's more like a local regional type focus. More often than not, we don't see a lot of customers that live in Washington State using one in Florida, but it does happen from time to time. We'll jump to the next slide. This is very similar to our welcome letter that we had before, but this is more from a senior editor or maybe a senior reporter in the newsroom that is someone that's really well recognized. And again, here we were able to put in articles at a variable function, pulling in articles that were some of our top trending stories. One thing we also did within our trending story mix is we exclude sensitive topics. So we exclude crime, murder, things like that, so that those don't accidentally appear within the onboarding journey, because this is supposed to be something we're welcoming you to our brand. Even though we know that people read stories like that, they don't want to have them pushed in their face. So we try to avoid that within the onboarding journey. And so that's a key element of this one. So we could jump to the next slide, which is podcast. So podcasts are something that, some newsrooms have, some don't, but we're able to harness the power of our network with this. So, like we have podcasts, for instance, locally in Detroit, for instance, and in Cincinnati and Indianapolis. But then we have markets, that don't have those local podcasts. So we're able to harness the power of the entire network by promoting like our USA Today podcast and things like that. So all of those flow in here. And again, it's a variable piece where we set this up by market, and we're able to flow anything in from the local to the national brands. We can jump to the next slide. Go ahead, Jen.
Hey, Phil, 2 questions. One is, I was going to ask earlier, as you're plotting out the different days, have you found through different experience in different markets, what is the right day for what message, and tried experimenting with them? And then the second one is, on these different journeys, there's all these different touch points. Are you finding as you get farther in the touch point, engagement is going up or down? Is engagement holding steady? What kind of open rates are you seeing on these?
That's a great point. So I'll address the first question. The second question I'm going to say for a little bit later. But the first question, Jim, as far as, sorry, what was the first question again?
How you're choosing what day is
yes.
Day one, day two, and what messages you're sending on what days?
Yeah, we played around with this a lot. We talked to our customer experience team quite a bit on this as well to come up with these ideas. We are going to play around with moving these. We've only been live with this journey since July 1st. So we're 6 months in right now, being able to look at metrics, things like that. We'll talk about metrics in a few minutes, but I think that we will move some of these around. Now, there are things we won't move around, like the survey on day 30. That's something we try to remain constant across the board, because we also do a survey on day 90 and day 180. So we leave that constant, but we are looking at moving things around. We just have to weigh doing that versus other things that we can be doing, from a resource mix. So the survey here is really great because we're able to get feedback from readers pretty early on in their journey and sort of measure, like, how are they feeling? What are their challenges? What's going on there? And so it's something that does take time, though, because every reader doesn't fill out this survey by far. So we have to build this up over time. So we're just starting to get results right now from Q4, but it is a great piece to have in an onboarding journey to really understand how readers are feeling about your product. We can jump to the next one, which is commenting. I won't spend a lot of time here, but we do only have commenting in a few of our markets. But this red outline, again, is a variable that you can plug in there with stories, things like that. But we also are able to set up our onboarding journey to be variable by market. Like I just mentioned, commenting is only in a few markets. So we set up the journey and said, okay, if there's no commenting, then we skip this email. So we'll jump to the next one, which is social media. We have social media in every market. That one's not a problem. Everybody loves social media. We have everything from from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram to Snapchat, LinkedIn, TikTok. I don't know what else we have, but it's everywhere. So we're able to really highlight those. And then we also highlight certain reporters or personalities in the newsrooms. All of you have worked in local newsrooms for the most part, or even the national newsrooms where there's a certain personality that stands out, and we're able to highlight them within this email. And that's all variable as well, something we built in, and it's very easy to change too. So if a reporter leaves, we can jump in there and pull that reporter out and then plug a new one in. So it's a very easy feature for us to play around with. The next one is one of my favorites, which is share your subscription. I love this because readers are able to share their subscription with up to 5 different people in their family. So one benefit here is even a reader can share this like with their partner. So for instance, if one of you logged in with your email address, but you're like, I don't want to have to like share my email address with somebody, like all that, then they can actually sign up for a share subscription with their partner. My wife and I actually do this because I don't read the same article she does. So I shared my subscription with her, and she can read what she wants and I read what I want. But this is a great feature that we're able to have. You may ask, why are there 2 different emails? That's because we have 2 different account management systems, and they have to be set up different ways for this share subscription. So you guys are just seeing everything that we're doing here, but that's the reason there's 2 different emails here, just different ways we have to set things up. But it goes back to the point of how we're able to make this whole journey so variable across the enterprise. Crosswords is our next one. This is something that we really promote, casual gaming. So we have three key games that are big ones for us, which are the crossword. USA the crossword is a big one. Quick Cross is one that we launched within the last year and a half, and then Sudoku launched probably 6 months ago. But these are 3 big games for us. We also do partner with a games vendor that has other games that readers can play, but we really know that driving customers to games is another point that helps drive engagement. So I'm going to roll on here because we're getting a little long on time, and I want to leave plenty of time for David to talk. So benefits. Again, this is more going back and highlighting those benefits again, the e-edition, the newsletters, the podcast, just reminding people, where they're a little deeper in the journey, hey, don't forget about these things that you have access to. And the final one is contact us or manage your account. We did want to make sure that we had a place for people to know, hey, how do I reach them? Like, how do I get in touch with somebody, or like, how do I complete my profile? So these are 2 links where people can go out there and take care of those 2 things. Hopefully, if they have had to contact us before now, they would have figured it out. But we still want to make sure it's in there. You could make the argument, like Jim asked earlier, should this be early on the journey? And those are the kind of things we're experimenting with. So, does anybody have any questions so far? I can answer a question, or I can keep moving.
The other question, which kind of maybe ties into what you're going to do, Phil, I think a lot of us struggle with is the timing, not just the timing, but not oversaturating people sending too many emails so they get, oh, another email from my newspaper. I'm not going to, you know what I mean? So coordinating it so you're getting your message across, but not spamming them, for lack of a better word.
Yeah, no, Jim, that's a great point. So we actually have what we call a messaging pod at Gannett, where we actually partner with our newsletter team and others, where we talk about that exact subject that you just mentioned. We actually have it mapped out, like how many emails is someone potentially getting in their first week, and their second week, and their third week, and so on. And we're really trying to make sure that we're messaging people with the right amount of volume, but also make sure we get enough to them. Like daily briefing, people automatically get signed up for. They get that right away. But one thing we don't do in a lot of markets is send a separate newspaper email at like 6 in the morning. You may have seen that at some other places, and we do that for some markets. But other markets, we actually put that newspaper blurb in our daily briefing. That way, it prevents us from having to have 2 emails, and we can just have 1 email that sort of handles both things at the same time. So that is a very big thing that we focus on. And how can we not oversaturate those customers? That's definitely a key element for us. So let's talk about social for a second. So social is something that we've been, we can jump to the next slide, Carol. Social is something that we've been focused on for quite a while. We put it on hiatus for a little bit as we were developing our CDP, but we've brought this back in. And so just for those who might be like, what's a CDP? CDP is our customer data platform, where we're able to harness all of our different data points around our customers, from anything like what they're paying us to like how often do they visit our site, do they have the app on their phone because they're visiting us on the app, all those different touch points. And we're able to harness that and then build specific audiences based on that. So one thing that we've recently started, one big focus we have is what we call reducing the intent to churn. So we know that there's some customers that call in a day, they subscribe and they stop their subscription. Go look at the numbers at your newspaper, because I guarantee you have it going on too. So what we're trying to do is reduce that intent to churn. And so our goal here is using onboarding and then also social onboarding, along with some other tactics, is to be able to reduce that intent to churn. So one tactic is this that I'm showing here on the screen. This is one that we've just started up recently and we're having tremendous success with. We're targeting new subscribers that have come on in the last 90 days, but they haven't engaged with the site in the last 7 days. So that's not good. You're a new subscriber, but you aren't engaging with us. So like, why not? Why are you not coming back to us? So the goal here was to improve the engagement of those subscribers so that because we know that can lead to reduced churn. Our initial results are that our cost per click on this campaign is a third of our normal social campaigns. In fact, I looked earlier, and even when we ran this campaign in the past, our cost is about 20% less than what we were paying before. But beyond that, altogether, this is a very low cost campaign for us. And these subscribers are actually engaging better than other campaigns. So they're coming back to site more. They're continuing to visit us more. They're once they get back to the site, they're staying there. They're sticking around. And so that's a very nice success so far. We're going to continue to tailor this as well. So one thing that we're experimenting with now is actually being able to take a reader that has a sports affinity. They read sports content, but then they stopped reading it for like these 7 days. We can actually then serve content to them that is sports related through our topic feeds. And so that's something that we're working on as well from a social side. So happy to talk about that at more length with anyone who's interested. But that's a big thing that we're focused on, is how can we do more content marketing through social media. Then the last thing is how we measure. Jim asked about this a second ago. So I just wanted to share some of the key points that we do measure. But Jim, back to your point, the very first question you had was, do your opens go down? Do your clicks go down? Does engagement go down as you get through the journey? Absolutely. In fact, if I showed you a chart, it's like this. I mean, you can see everything just moving like this. So our goal right now is like, how can we get it to move less like this, and maybe like that, get that angle just up a little bit, bring that angle up as you go through the journey. And so that's something we're focused on right now, trying to move some things around. But these are some of the key elements that we're really tracking with the onboarding and the KPIs that we're going after. One is number of active days, frequency to the site, app visits, page views, time spent per session is a key one. We know if someone spends more time with us, then they're more likely to stick around. Newsletter signups is another one, e-newspaper logins, the breadth of topics read. So if someone's just reading sports content, then is that enough to keep them around, or do we need them to read other types of content? Because if they're just reading sports, could they go get that somewhere else? We want to make sure we're making sure they're engaged with all of the different content that we have. App downloads, I mentioned that earlier. Share the bonus subscription, that's a key one. We found recently that share bonus subscription is not being utilized as much as we want it to be. So how can we push that even more to our readers, make sure they're using it? Reducing that active churn rate, that's what I mentioned just a second ago that we're doing with social media, and then improving that retention at the first step up. That's where I started the call with, was really improving the number of customers that don't stop before that first price increase. So those are some of the key areas that we're tracking. I hope all of this was helpful, but I don't want to take any longer because we got to turn it over to David because we're already halfway through our session and I know people are going to have questions. So David, off to you.
Bill just took my job from me. Go ahead, David. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, or basically morning to you all, I guess. I'm coming to you from Slovakia in Europe, so that's why my accent. Let's go to the next slide. So I'll try to continue where Phil started. Just the layout. I work for so you have the context where I'm coming from, which kind of publication. So all of you know Gannett, but basically you don't know where I'm coming from. So I work for a publisher that has national and local titles, and the population of Slovakia is 5 million, if you're wondering. And the national newspaper which I work for, SME, Daily SME, has 2.5 million monthly active users. We've had a digital paywall since 2011. We were one of the first publications in Europe. Basically, if you know Piano, the media, it was started by a Slovak guy. So not many people know that. Anyway, so we now have 60,000 subscribers, and we revamped our onboarding journey 2 years ago. And that was like one of my big projects in 2021. Okay, let's go to the next slide. So you have the context. As I said, we have 60,000 subscribers. We have across our brand 60 newsletters, and so on. Here is how a newsletter looks like for us. It's very text heavy. So one of the things we found out actually was many of our readers are getting emails in their work, and some of those work, let's say, like the office. So when you open your email in the office, they're blocking images for some reason, and we got this complaint a lot. So we try to make our newsletters, even the onboarding newsletters, very text heavy. And when we are using images, it was always with the intent like, would this work if the image does not display? Because if you're getting an email, it wouldn't make any sense. What we found out was that our newsletter subscribers have a bigger customer lifetime value. So again, our onboarding focused on that very much. We can go to the next slide. So this was about, I wanted to talk about the newsletter strategy, but we can go to the next slide again. So like we have 3 main touch points in the onboarding journey, right? It's newsletters, podcasts, and mobile app. We decided on these. So these are basically, like we call them, the 3 pillars of engagement of the newsroom with the subscribers and the readers. And this was because when we've been doing previous research, we found out like these are the best sticking points when it comes to retention, engagement, and lowering churn, right? Like our podcast audience loves us, and they keep on, even though the podcasts are free, they just like keep on being subscribers. The same with newsletters, and the same with the mobile app. Let's go to the next slide. So this is somewhat not very nice, but this is the way how it looks within our CRM, our onboarding journey. There are basically, it's not straightforward, it's dynamic. So for example, the onboarding journey takes around a month and a half, 45 days, I guess. There are 10 basic emails, but we have different tiers of subscriptions, right? And if you have a premium subscription, you would get less emails, because if you have a standard subscription, within the onboarding journey, we want to basically upscale you to a higher tier, right? But if you're already on that, we're not going to send you an email. Or if you have been a subscriber to our daily newsletter, again, we're not going to send you the email about the daily newsletter, because why? And the same we're trying to pull off with our mobile app, but it's still ongoing. But basically, that's the idea. If someone has, and we know about our subscribers, like, oh, they already interact with these, we're just not going to, spam them with that. Let's go to the next slide.
Hey, David, can you
go on?
I'm sorry, can you just talk for just a minute, like how you're differentiating a standard from a premium, what a premium gets and what a standard gets, and how they move to that journey?
Sure. So we have 3 tiers. I've been advocating for some time now that we should only have 2 tiers, because basically we have standard, premium, and premium without ads. So it's like 3 tier. The premiums, they get access to ebooks and e-newspaper, basically, and that's the only thing. And the premium without ads, they'll get the subscribers, they get all the experience without ads. So no ads on the website, no ads in video, no ads in podcast. That has been something we introduced recently, and it's one of the biggest selling points. So far we don't have share your new subscription. That's something we're looking into to add to the premium subscriptions. And also we've started experimenting with limiting access, because we have seen some subscribers sharing access throughout, I don't know, a wider family, or a coworker basically bought one subscription and send it to 200 other coworkers. So we had to put that into our description, basically benefits of the subscription. So it's not very much distinctive, but
The other question I had on the tiers was just the cost variance between the different ones. I'm assuming the higher the tier, the more the cost.
So I can tell you, I don't have it in my mind, but I can find it. But basically, the subscription without ads is double the subscription of the standard. So it goes, if you want, I can tell you the weekly, right? So the weekly of the standard is €1 per week, right? We have weekly, 4 week. So it's you pay 4 weekly, every 4 weeks. It's not monthly, but every 4 weeks. It's a recent trend publishers have been using to basically add another month of revenue when they're doing this. I guess almost everyone is doing this. I haven't seen anyone recently who's not switched to this. So the standard is €1 per week. The premium, the middle one, is $1.50, and then premium without ads is €2 per week, which comes to €8, and then the yearly subscriptions are more discounted. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so basically, I liked what Phil said, that each email in the onboarding journey has a clear, call to action. I actually built this onboarding journey based on that, right? You have to have one clear call to action in each email, right? If you have several, the user will just get confused. So early on, we actually stole this design a little bit from The Economist. So if you look at The Economist emails, they always have this, a kind of color card in the beginning of the email. So basically, if anyone opens the email and basically the idea was, our subscribers are mobile heavy, they use mobile a lot. if they open the email, we want to convey everything in that first screen, right? So like they don't have to even have to scroll. You'll see everything in that. Just like open your email and you will get the main message. If you don't scroll, you can still understand. And there is like a big button, and then we basically repeat the button down in the email, and it's like not many. I guess only like 2 emails have images, and we try to do everything with CSS even in the email, so it will display always. And also, the onboarding journey, as Phil said, we started right after the purchase. So we changed this a couple of years ago. Before that, when you go and buy a subscription, and there is like a confirmation page, right? That confirmation page used to be, thank you for your purchase. Go to your profile and look around. Basically, like, do nothing, or just like return whatever. Now we changed it, and we said, if you completed your purchase, thank you very much. Please go and choose a newsletter, because that's for us turned out like, okay, that's the best retention point. Like if we get someone to subscribe to a newsletter and possibly to more newsletters, like that's like the last few months we've been like adding new newsletters almost every month, and they always will find their audience. Okay, we'll go to the next screen, please. Carol, can you go to the next screen? Next slide. Sorry, next slide. Okay, we have a master dashboard, right? Like this has been very useful for us. We are using Google. No, it's not Data Studio now. It's something else. It's what Looker Studio. Sorry. So they renamed it to Looker Studio, but we're basically pulling data in one place so everyone can see it within the newsroom. So this is accessible not only to the product team, but everyone in the newsroom. And it's not just the newsletters, but you can find their onboarding newsletters, open rates, and so on and so on. So we're like really leaning heavy into the data democratization philosophy around the newsroom. And one of the main things we're looking at is the average customer lifetime value, and compare it to newsletters, like subscribers who also subscribe to the newsletter, and also to customer lifetime value of those who gone through the onboarding journey. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, okay. So two more things I have here put down, which so we have 2 things, like there's an onboarding journey for subscribers, but we also have an onboarding journey for registered users. You become a registered, like there are different ways you can become a registered user with us. The most basic one is you subscribe to a newsletter. So subscription to a newsletter, any newsletter, or even free, means we will create an account for you. It's like a one-click process. It's done, and the onboarding journey begins, because we know if someone gave us our email and subscribed to a newsletter, we know that within a month, 5% of those people we will convert to subscribers. It's actually a metric I've seen by publishers in Germany and more. So it's really a nice thing to look at. Also, we have found out for users who go through the onboarding journey, the customer lifetime value is almost double of that, which is the average customer lifetime value. So that's like been really mind-blowing for us. And the last thing I wanted to say was when we created those onboarding emails, we actually, what Phil said, like they have the help desk contact number and information in the last email. We actually put it in all the onboarding email. So there is like just a small part in each of the onboarding journey, because it was a constant struggle by our help desk support team that, subscribers didn't know how to reach them. So we said, okay, like let's just spam them with that information, because for some reason it's hard for them to find it. Okay, thank you. That was all from me. I'm just going to share. I've written in length about this in an article. I'm sure Carol and Jim can share it with you.
Take myself off of mute there. Couple of questions that have come up. One is on yours. I know you said yours are kind of text heavy, David, so maybe this is more toward Phil. On your different emails that you're sending, are you including video in those? Or is it mainly text and artwork?
In mine, it's mostly text and artwork. We do have some links to videos that are hosted on our pages. Putting video into email can slow down connections and things like that, and it may not open well for certain, especially in certain types of email systems. So we chose to just embed those on a web page. But we do have emails, for instance, that you can click on and go to a specific web page, things like that. But mostly it's text. There are some moving images as well that we've set up in there, but mostly just text and art.
As a reminder to everyone, thanks, Phil. As a reminder to everyone, feel free to type in your any questions you have in the chat. I have one more question myself, and then can open up the floor, or you can we can take you off mute. You can ask your question. Oh, what was the other question I had? I just drew a blank. I had it, and then I started talking, and I lost it. Sorry, does anyone have another question while I rejigger in my brain is what I was trying to remember?
I do. Hey, Phil, I noticed that you have a lot of, on each of your emails, it says local. Is that part of the Gannett brand, or are you just constantly reinforcing that you're local, local, local?
I will have to look at that really quick. I'm trying to remember.
It's a circle. It's a circle, and it says.
That's a placeholder. The word local is where the brand of the publication would appear.
Oh, I see.
So
okay.
that's just a placeholder for like the specific brand. Now, everything else you see on there, as far as like the different colors, like that blue and the lines and all that, that is something we worked on building a visual identity around. So that's some work that happened with our brand team. And like that little circle up there in the corner, that is part of our branding. But as far as the word local, that's just where like the individual newspaper name would automatically flow in from our system.
Hey, Phil, how automated is this process?
It's once we got it set up, it's 100% automated. I mean, we don't have to make many changes to it. And in fact, even if we do need to make changes, everything flows off of a data table that we can update in the background and then upload, and everything automatically changes like on the fly. So you don't have to stop like our entire journey and restart it. Everything can happen while it's running. And just for reference, we're using Salesforce as our email partner. So if anyone's interested in knowing like how we get that automation set up.
I remembered my question. This is for both you guys. Have you had a lot of success? I know different companies and markets are trying different things with how best to utilize your digital subscription in terms of where to find things, how to navigate around on your site. Have you had much success doing that, whether it's a flyer or a kind of a how-to, I guess, to navigate as part of your onboarding journey?
Yeah, I could comment first. So we had a video that was beautiful that walked people through a lot of different features of our site and our e-newspaper. However, we changed the entire site map and things like that, and we changed our e-newspaper map as well. So all of that is sort of not accurate anymore. So we had to put that video on hold for right now, but that is a plan to bring it back. What we want to do also is more short form. That was sort of a long video. We're looking at more like short form things that also would fit into maybe something we could run on Instagram or other areas where you could actually push that out to subscribers. So we're looking at that. That's just something down the road for us.
Yeah, we don't have a video in introductory video. I mean, we never seen any sense in that, and also like our audience is not video heavy, so it's like very text heavy. Like they want text, so we're trying to adjust.
Hey, David, on your your standard subscription, your premium and your premium no ads, you said on the premium you offer ebooks. How do you offer the ebooks? Are they ebooks that the publication has written, or do you have a partnership with someone to offer those?
No, so it's basically ebooks. There are two types. One is basically public domain ebooks. For some reason, even though it's basically like very old literature, which our editors have put into like nice covers. We're also selling them, and we're finding that especially like students and like parents of students are really keen on getting these because they're in like a nice shape. You can get the same content elsewhere in not as nice shape for free, but we made it nice and it makes sense. And also the books of our authors. It's one of the, like, I would say, bigger trends in our market that a lot of journalists are encouraged to write a book of their for themselves. And also we put out, for most our opinion editors, we just like take their columns and make them into like a short book and ebook as well, and that sells also well.
So your standard subscription is just the e-paper, and then your premium is e-paper plus ebooks, correct?
The standard subscription is access to the paywalled content on the website. We have a hard paywall, so not a dynamic. So that's that. And even with the standard subscription, you wouldn't get access to the e-paper, as you know, it's a PDF version. You have to go premium on that. And there's like not a special reader. There's just like a web viewer of the PDF basically. And you can download them also as well.
Thank you.
Hey, another one, Phil. On your, are you able to track what, I know you're able to track what folks are clicking on, but are you then able to segment that to certain readers as part of their journey? Hey, we see you're clicking on why the Chiefs lost last week, so here's some more Chiefs lost content information for you.
Yes, the Chiefs don't lose, but that's just a joke between Jim and I. But no, yes, we can do that. Currently, we are not, but that is the dream with our onboarding journey, is to eventually personalize it so much that, for instance, you guys saw in there that we had an app email that said, go download the app. Well, we already know if someone's using the app because we can tell that they're utilizing content on iOS or Android. So why are we serving them an email if we already know they have the app? So the dream is to not even serve that kind of content, and then to have a different kind of email flow in there, and maybe even shorten the journey. If we know someone's extremely active on the site, do we even need to have a 75-day journey? Or, could we shorten that up, and pull out different pieces? That's the dream. It's not something we're doing today. Right now, we're still migrating everything into like one big journey process, because Gannett is still sort of merging all of the systems that we had from when it was two different companies. But we're close to the end of that, and that will really free us up to be able to do that next step. But our CDP that I mentioned earlier is a big resource for us to be able to do that.
Other questions, folks? Have we have a few more minutes for other questions? Okay. Hearing no more questions at this time. Thank you very much, Phil and David, for your time and information. For everyone on this call that is a member, this presentation will be available on our website. If you're not a member, shame on you. Please go to our website and sign up and become a member. And we thank everyone for their time. Thanks again to David and Phil, and David especially, for the time difference and joining us. Thank you, everyone. Have a good afternoon.
Great presentation. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
Bye.